Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Elaine Starner from JPV Press. She is the author of Getting Through Today, Beyond the Past, Can God Be Trusted, and coming up, something about hope for the future. What is the name of it?
Facing the Future.
Facing the Future. Well, let's take number 3 that just came. This is your most recent one?
Yes.
Can God Be Trusted? Wow, I think as soon as a person becomes a Christian and it becomes a matter of surrender, doesn't that thought go through all of our minds? Oh my goodness, what's the last thing I want to do? I bet that's what he's going to want me to do.
Yes, I always knew that I could not be a missionary. Please, Lord, don't ask me to be a missionary and eat snakes, things like that.
Exactly.
Stories like that you hear.
Exactly.
Yes.
But then there also is scripture that says, delight in the Lord, he will give you the desires of your heart. And I tend to think that those desires in our heart are God-given because he gave them to us, right?
Yes.
Not just fulfilling them, but giving you the desires in the first place. So doesn't it seem like his will would also go along with what you like and what you're good at? Doesn't that all seem like it would fit together?
I think so. And actually, that's why I'm writing these days. Because
there you go. Perfect example.
It's a gift that God gave me, and I love to do it. And somehow or other, here I am at this point in my life.
Doing the dream job, living the dream.
The verse about giving you the desires of your heart. I've come to the place where I hear that in a different way than I did at one time.
Tell me.
Well, at one time, I thought that means the Lord will give me what I think I really want, what I really need, but I think it's exactly what you said. He creates the desires in our heart that take us in the right direction. It's in, I think, Philippians, it says God works in us so that we want to do His will and what he wants us to do. And so I think he creates the desires of our heart too. But yes, it also works in conjunction with he brings about in our lives the dreams that he's planted in us.
That's it.
Exactly.
He brings those dreams to fruition. He's planted those dreams in the first place and given you skills and abilities to be able to see it through. But it's all him doing it. We don't have anything that he hasn't given us first.
Right.
There is the person that would look at that title, though, and know that they have been through something where the rug was just ripped out from under them.
Yes.
What would you say to that broken heart?
Yes. I still believe God can be trusted. Not everything in my life has turned out the way I expected it to. But I have found that when the rug gets pulled out from under you, you grab for God even more. I heard someone phrase it in this way, that every trial that comes is a gift of more of God's presence. And at least that's my experience. And this book in particular is pretty much written from my own experience, because it is just basically why I trust God, why I believe him when he makes us promises about what he will do. It's true. Some people turn the other direction, and some people will turn their back on God and will decide that they are not going to trust God, that they no longer believe, and I don't know what to say to that.
As if that would change reality.
That's exactly right. One of the things I talk about in one of these books, and to tell you the truth, I don't even remember which one it ended up in, is, we talk about reality. Well, whose reality are we talking about? Are we talking about what the world says is real and is possible and is practical and is logical? Or are we talking about God's reality?
Who created everything in the first place.
Yes. And when we start to live in God's reality, that just transforms your life.
I don't want to ask you anything you're not comfortable talking about, so you just lead the way here. You let me know how much you want to share as far as your own story. But normally when someone has such depth of understanding to be able to share from Scripture and from their own experiences, to be able to speak to, I'm going to say these are not just for women, but certainly speaking to women.
Right.
But these could be for everybody. Everybody wants to be there, Elaine. Everyone wants to have that wisdom. Nobody wants to go through what you have to go through to get it and to be there. What would you like to share about your own story that brought you to this place that we might be reading about anyway with Can God Be Trusted?
I won't tell you then. Okay. That way you buy the books. No.
Give us an hors d'oeuvre before the feast.
The thing that made a difference in my life was just the Scriptures. And that's why these books are so heavy on the Scriptures. And it's the only thing, it's not my words that are going to change anybody else's life, that are going to convince anyone. It's the Scriptures that will do that. And so if you're struggling with your past, and yes, there were many failures and messes in my past, and the thing that made a difference is when I really got into the Scriptures and started believing what God said.
Was there a moment where it just clicked and you thought, oh, this is true? Or was it a process?
It was, I would have to say it's a process because I can't think of any one particular moment. I know there have been verses in the past that I've doubted. And I've said, God, I don't see how that can possibly be true because that is not my experience. That is not what has happened to me. But as a whole, and at this point, I now believe those specific verses that I was doubting at one time.
Isn't it so great how he's so patient with us in those moments?
Yes.
That we can be totally honest with him. Plus, we're not telling him something that he doesn't know already.
Right.
And
he probably knows far more about us than we do, too.
So. Way. But that he loves us that much to just let us come along, catch up, we'll get there, and he doesn't give up on us. It is amazing. What's your process, Elaine? How do you wake up in the morning and say, okay, today I'm going to write this many words, this many chapters, or do you write by hand? Do you write at a computer? Is it a little of both?
No. The only time I write by hand is if I'm traveling as a passenger, not driving.
Right, good. That's a relief.
And the only thing I have is paper and pencil. So that's the only time. And then I just jot notes. I don't, write anything out in detail in longhand because all of this started 15 years ago on a computer. And so that's kind of, how you sit in your favorite chair or you are in a certain place and it just, not just with writing, but with other things too, things just flow more with your favorite coffee mug in hand or something like that. It seems that the computer is what where I work the best. And also because that's the only thing that can keep up with my thoughts. I can't write fast enough to keep up with my thoughts. And also because the computer has made it so easy to just go back and delete everything.
And rearrange it.
To rearrange everything.
Because who writes chronologically perfectly?
Exactly. So if I would have had to have written as they did even 50 years ago, everything longhand, and do all my revisions, corrections, everything in that way, probably none of these books would have come to
You
me.
wouldn't be on number 4 quite yet.
No, not at all. And as far as just setting a word limit for myself each day, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't.
But there's some discipline. There's got to be some discipline
there is.
involved.
And the biggest discipline for me is just that because it is a job, too. It's not just, I mean, this began as a ministry, and it still is. I do this, I mean, I could do all kinds of writing commercially and make far more money if that's the only thing I was concerned about.
Sure.
But it began as a ministry, but now, especially since I have a deadline for the fourth book, I have to get the job done. And so there are times when it doesn't matter if I don't feel like writing that morning, or if I'm not particularly inspired that day, I still have to be working at it.
Mm-hmm. And then on those days, good writing's in the rewriting, right? You can always go back. And
right.
Sometimes just getting something out there primes the pump and gets it flowing.
That's exactly right. Sometimes if I just sit down and start, then it starts flowing. But there God's hand is in that too. Mm-hmm. Because there have been days when I was completely blank. The screen was completely blank. My thoughts there was just nothing, and I didn't know where to start. And that's part of our hope for today. God helps us with things like that too. And so a lot of it has just come from the Spirit's guidance and the Spirit's leading.
You've just encouraged a lot of people just now.
Oh, I hope so.
Sure of it. Absolutely. The books are Getting Through Today, Beyond the Past, Can God Be Trusted? When will the fourth one be out? These are ready to go. You can give these as a set for Christmas time.
Yes.
When will your fourth one be ready?
I didn't talk to the publishers about how long it will take them. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm hoping to have my manuscript done by the end of January. Ooh. Oh, my goodness. Now I've said it
Now
to
you've
the
said
whole
it out
world.
loud. Yep. Okay.
Now I really have to be finished.
That's it. That's a good way of goal setting, though. Write it down, say it to somebody.
Yes.
Then you got to live up to it.
But then I would imagine summer or early fall.
Perfect.
Unless they push it through faster. But
go to Amazon or go to JPV Press or check out any of the bookstores that carry JPV Press books and pick up Getting Through Today, Beyond the Past. Can God Be Trusted? Elaine Starner, thank you so much for what you bring to our community.
Thank you.